to have the iPads for languages, because you can record yourself saying it, so you know where you're at and how you can improve.
When I get videoed and I watch it back, it tells me that I can do it when I doubt myself.
Con, après je also c'est un papillon. When I video myself doing something but I don't think I'm going to do it right, I watch myself doing it, and if I don't do it right, then I'll just correct myself the next time I do it.
It's better because you don't have to watch your teacher doing it, you can do it yourself.
I think it's good because you can do games about maths, games about English and games about languages.
In war, he tells us that he shot a man. He thinks after he shot that man, if we had met in an inn or a pub, we might have got on. But they didn't. This is telling us that this man is having second thoughts. He is feeling guilt for killing this man. The charge of the Light Brigade is about 600 men and horses fighting against cannons. It says in the poem, cannons in front of them.
When I watch back from what I've done, it shows me that it helps me boost my confidence up.
Bonjour, comment tu t'appelles?
Bonjour, je m'appelle Alicia.
Quel âge as-tu?
J'ai 10 ans.
Où habites-tu?
J'habite Barnard.
Bonjour, je m'appelle James.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Josh.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks everybody for coming. My name is Peter Spears. My job at Cedars School of Excellence in Greenock in Scotland. I'm the head of computing and IT, so I'm a computer science teacher. I am also responsible for all the IT that the school runs, including the Wi-Fi networks, the deployment of the iPads, the leasing, purchase, all the way down to cutting the network cables that keep the school running. That's all my job. So I do all of that myself. This is our school. It's not snowing at the moment, but it'll be snowing in a couple of weeks' time, I'm sure. And what I want to do today, I just want to tell you sort of the story of how we got here, and some of the things that we've done, some of the things we've learned over the course of 4 years now, having one-to-one iPad in our school. And I think if there's one thing I can telegraph at the start of this presentation, is if you go away thinking that iPad is the thing, you've missed the point of what I'm going to say. the key point of what I want to say is one-to-one. When you're one-to-one iPad, the most important part of that is one-to-one. iPad's great, don't get me wrong, I would choose it again tomorrow, but one-to-ones is really the thing that changes the game. So, in case you don't know where Greenock is, I'm sure at least one person doesn't know where Greenock is in the room. If you draw a line from Edinburgh to Glasgow and keep going, we're out to the west there. Former shipbuilding town, big story of the past of my lifetime is sort of depopulation of the town. So from 250,000 people down to 60 to 80,000 people. Much lower density, much more suburban place than it used to be, much less industrial as well. We are, as far as we know, the world's first whole school one-to-one iPad program. We're going to keep making that claim until somebody contradicts us. I've been making it for 4 years now, so I think I'm good. And being the first with something's always something you can do. There are certainly bigger schools that have done one-to-ones, but we still hold on to being the first. We're also primary and secondary, so like here, we have 5 all the way through to 18. And before I dig into anything else, I want to show you this picture. And the reason I want to show you this picture is because people often think, when we talk about schools going one-to-one with computers and things like that, that those schools are going to be sort of STEM academies or technologically focused schools, and we're really, really not that kind of school. We are very much into music and drama and performing arts. Although of course we teach the sciences as well, but we don't, that's really the life of the school, is this kind of thing. So I want to introduce you to Georgia. And Georgia is my youngest daughter with 3 girls, and she's the newest one of the set. And I want to think about her life. Right? This is what motivates me to think about technology and education. Okay? Because you think about Georgia's school career, right? She's not going to be leaving school until 2031. Okay? And assuming we still have universities, and I can find a really grounds to send her to, which is what it'll probably cost her then, she could be a graduate in the summer of 2035 looking for a job. 2035. There it is. Her 87th birthday is in the 22nd century. Now, when Georgia was born, her life expectancy at birth was 84 years. Okay? But given the medical advances that she will certainly see in her lifetime, it's not unreasonable to expect that she would live to see the 22nd century. And certainly within 3 or 4 years, the 22nd century will be within the expected range by the birth of children born in the UK today. So the citizens of the 22nd century are already here, even as we teachers still try to figure out even the 21st century skills and 21st century life. So here's my question for you. Let's see that. Absolutely. I saw Godzilla in the cinema last week, and the fascinating thing about the new Godzilla movie is that the whole second half of the movie, the humans keep shooting Godzilla and nothing works, right? And it's a completely post-human movie where the humans are just incidental to these massive monsters fighting each other. And that's why I put that phrase in there, because if there is some kind of disaster, like in the 80s when we debated about calculators and mathematics, the argument was always, well, what happens if you don't have a calculator? Right? And today the idea of you not having a calculator is laughable. Right? We're all wearing them. Every single day we need to fix it, and most of the time we want to do that as well. So I'm not saying to you that the iPad is going to be the thing forever. I'm not saying to you that computers as we know them today, as we deploy today, are going to look the same from now till 2035. But I am making the bet that we will continue to care about using technology in the classroom, and that in 2035 there will be more technology in our Western society than there is this year. Here's another number. The GSM Association, who produced this number, they're the trade body for mobile phone manufacturers. They reckon that there will be 50 billion devices connected to the internet by 2025. So that's 10 years before Georgia comes out of university. And at that time, that will be 7 devices on the internet for every person alive on the planet. So tonight we're talking about going one-to-one, but in fact, as adults, we were left one-to-one behind 20 years ago. And we've now got 3-to-1. We've got a smartphone, we've got tablets, laptops, desktop computers. That's why the cloud is such a big deal, why you keep hearing about it all the time. Because we've now got so many computers each that we need something else to keep all our stuff together, to keep it synced across all these devices. So one-to-one is, we're just catching up to 20 years ago at this rate. So, take a little bit about the technology story of our school. when we started, I started there in 2006, my first job was to build a computing science lab. And it was very traditional, desks all facing the front, computers facing the front, and I would stand up here like this, and I would do demo a lesson, and presumably the kids would follow along. I didn't really know, because they were all facing the front. But, so we started with that, and then in 2008 we did our first whole school Wi-Fi deployment, and rolled out laptops to people. And that worked great for a while. But then in December 2009, we kind of came to a bit of a crisis point. The crisis point was simply this, that we had done so much work for the 10 years before that school had been open to convince teachers and encourage teachers in the use of technology in the classroom, that the problem we had, we didn't have enough computers for the way that our teachers wanted to teach. So we got together and we asked ourselves the question, what are we going to do? And we thought, well, maybe we could do iPod Touch. Teachers came back and said it's too small, there's not the right software, all that kind of stuff. And we thought, well, maybe we can just get more laptops. And we haven't been super happy with the laptops. I think everybody who's taken a laptop lesson knows that there's problems with logging into them, and the power and the batteries and all that kind of stuff. So we were sitting there in December 2009 asking ourselves, wouldn't it be great if there was something like an iPod Touch, but it was a bit bigger? And it kind of had the software of a laptop, but it was more portable, and the battery lasted longer. And then in January of 2010, Steve Jobs was up on the stage and he says, wouldn't it be great if you had something that was kind of between your laptop and your smartphone? So we did that, and we thought about that, and then we went into that. And we, watching this video of Steve Jobs presenting the iPads, we were saying, yes, that's exactly what we're looking for. We've been looking for this for about 5 years now. We've done all these different things. We've done desktops, we've done laptops. We looked at putting in iPods, video iPods, and we decided that wasn't the right thing to do. We looked at netbooks and we decided that wasn't the right thing to do either. And this was the thing that came along at the right time for us and did what we needed to do. And the hardware is great in itself, but it was when I saw the software. And the joke was, when the iPad first came out, the big joke everybody made was, well, that's just a big iPhone, that's a stupid thing, who wants one of them? But it was when I saw the software, when I saw Pages, the word processor, and Numbers, the spreadsheet, and Keynote, the presentation software that I'm using just tonight, running from my iPad over there, I realized that the ambition for what the iPad was going to be was a little bit different from what people thought it was. Most people misunderstood it when it first came out. Because where does this software come from? Right? This software is not an iPhone application made large. Right? This is a Mac application made portable. Right? A genuine productivity application. It's what I use every day. And that's what the iPad brought to the table. So, we talk a little bit about teaching and learning. We'll give you 4 big ideas that have come out of our thinking for the past 4 years as to what the role of the iPad is in the classroom. First one is this. Right? We believe that technology should be as accessible as paper. If you're a teacher and a student wants to learn from a book, the heart of the teacher is that you do everything you can to connect that child with that knowledge. And the fact is that we can do that with paper, but if a child wanted to learn from the internet or learn from some other digital resource, and they asked me for access to that, the answer had to be, you've got to wait till that 1 hour on Thursday when you can get on computers. So what we're trying to do here is we're not throwing away paper, we're not trying to make a paper in school. We failed if that was our game because we haven't managed it. But what we have done is we've tried to make the technology equally available. And whatever's the best approach at the right time, that's what we do. So if anyone want to ask me how many hours do my students spend on an iPad, I can't tell you because we don't count it. The iPad's there, it's usable at any time. And if it's helpful, we use it, and if it's not, we don't. It's really as simple as that. Second one is one platform for everyone. Now, and notice I don't say one device here, one platform. This comes out over and over and over again from all the studies and reports and pilot scheme evaluations that have been done on technology deployments in schools. But the one thing that comes out over and over again, and we believe it too, is that teachers need a stable and consistent foundation to build on and plan on. Because I had a visit from people in a school in Scotland who, they just let anybody bring in any device. Literally bring any device to school and use it. And their teachers are tearing their hair out trying to deliver the same lesson on a Windows laptop and a Mac laptop and an iPad and a BlackBerry smartphone and all these different things. And the cost of doing the technology work, the integration work, doesn't go away if you don't have a consistent platform. It just means that the technology integration is everybody's problem. then every teacher has to understand all of the pieces. Whereas if you have one consistent platform, it enables teachers to have some confidence in what's going to happen, and it lets them build and plan on top of that to achieve more than if they had to spend their time just sorting out differences between different platforms. So that's important. This is even more important. And I think what I want you to understand from this is that what we did with our one-to-one deployment is not that we took IT and sort of crumbled it up and sprinkled a bit over every other subject and made IT everybody's problem. We still have computer science as a separate subject. But as you can see, what's happening here is this student's practicing our traditional media art skills with the support of a computer. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out, we're trying to learn, we're trying to work our way through, what does it mean to teach art when you've got a computer accessible at all times? Is it the same as it was before? Or can we use the computer to do new things? So here she's taken a picture of this object here. She's used the computer to desaturate the colour so she can focus on the line and shape, and then she's practicing that drawing. So there's additional tool support there. That's a case of iPads as a kind of support for traditional media. There will be other times in that class where the digital media is the actual product itself. Right? Technology and paper at the same level. Okay? We do not agree, and I will argue with you if you want to argue with me, that it's not that this is real art and this is fake art. Right? They're both real art, they're just two different media. Right? And that's an argument that's had me moved more times than I can count. From crowds where I've tried to claim to people that electronic music is real music, right? But once you get into this debate of what's real and what's not real, we've already lost sight of what we're trying to do. I think both of these are real. No one is more real than the other. It's just what's appropriate at the time. This is crucial. Okay. I had a colleague who went to the British International School in Paris to do a similar kind of data and do peer-to-peer. And they put them in the library and they let teachers sort of come in and drop in and ask them questions. And in a hurry, a teacher ran in and she sat down and she said, "Quick, tell me what's the best app for volcanoes." My colleague was a bit kind of flummoxed at that because he's a private teacher and doesn't know nothing about teaching volcanoes to tell a secondary teacher that answer. But that teacher, with her question, revealed that she was thinking about an app where she previously thought of a textbook. So she was going to take out the volcano textbook, she was going to get a volcano app to start to adopt the iPad in the class. And I think what I want you to take away from this one is that the way we think of the iPad or apps is like additional tools in the classroom. Okay? So this picture here, this is my oldest daughter, April, and she was doing a project which was about sustainable development in land use. And the way that she was assessed was that she and I, over the course of Easter holidays, had to build this model. She had to design it and research it and all that kind of stuff. We built the model together, and she had to put together this mood board at the back here. And the final assessment was that she was graded on her model and also her speech presentation to the judges that would come out on the show. And the iPad's in this picture for a reason, because at every step along the way to making that model, of her knowing everything before I went right, the iPad was there to help. Right? This was an example where the digital artifact is not the final assessed object. It's just part of the process. So it starts with internet research. It starts with pictures of the architect we're interested in. It starts with drawing the floor plan of the house in an app. Right? And then we start to use 3D designer apps to build the interior of the room. But then we start to use the physical materials. We build the actual physical model from the digital plan. And then, as we're doing this, we're taking photographs all the way through of us building the model, and then we put that together as a video, as a keynote presentation that plays on the stand as the judges walk around as well. But the assessment is not the digital artifact in this case. It might be in another situation, but in this case, the iPad is there all the time as a support for learning both the facts, but also doing these higher order skills of synthesizing the knowledge and producing new things. Because this isn't just a copy of a Frank Lloyd Wright building. This is a building that April designed that's based on a Frank Lloyd Wright building, but it also takes influences from one of Frank Lloyd Wright's proteges called Eichler. And she can tell you all about the connections and the differences between Frank Lloyd Wright's work and Eichler's work in California houses. So, that's what I mean by apps with pencils. got books. There are also scissors, protractors, rulers, video cameras, video editing suites, all that stuff. Maps and pencils, notebooks. You may ask me this question: what about a table? Okay. I guarantee you at some point, either this session or next, somebody will ask me whether or not our exam results have gone up based on this iPad. For a start, it's hard for me to say because we don't have that big numbers to take a really good statistical sample. There aren't enough other schools doing it either. But I want to also throw this one at you, right? I didn't take this picture today, but this poster does exist in the building next door. Right? And it says, no mobile phones, iPods, MP3 players, products with electronic communication storage device, or any other digital facility. Possession of these items could result in disqualification, and you know that's serious because it's red and bold and big letters. So my question for you is, these kind of things that we do with our iPads in school, does the exam system is even sensitive enough to measure them? The things that April can do with fractal writing, and a lot of classmates can do in primary 7, when she gets up to 4th year, she's going to be given a memory test that she writes on paper. So I'm not super convinced that measurements of how many A stars did we get because we put in iPads are actually very reliable at all. Even ones that you show that you got them or not. So as you know, just because you say your children's in an independent school doesn't mean you're buying them any stars. Similarly, you're not buying them any stars because you're buying an iPad either. But what you are buying is access to a lot of things that Carl talked about earlier on. And you're buying access to these tools that they can use to build and build and build these higher order skills. How do I know this? How do I know this works? Well, I'll tell you a little bit about our school. We had some researchers came in from the University of Western Scotland, and they had 3 observational checklists for the class. They studied 2 classes, both doing 2 lessons that were very similar, but one was delivered with technology and one was delivered without 2 classes. And they looked at cognitive engagement, behavioural engagement, and emotional engagement. And what we found in the non-technology condition was that the best girls in the class were at one end of the engagement scale, and the group at the other end was the weaker girls in the class of all boys. The noticeable gap in cognitive and emotional engagement. Behavioural engagement didn't show much of a difference. But when they went to the technology condition, what happened was that gap closed in the positive direction. So the cognitive and emotional engagement in the lesson was vastly improved for all the boys in the class and the weaker girls as well. That study has also been replicated in the other school and much other school. But more than that, I want just to finish with this. This was a real eye-opener for me. This lesson happened on the first day of the school session back in August. And had a new one in the class. And we were teaching about how data is routed around the internet. The internet protocol, as it's called. And we did a lesson, we went out to the playground, we walked around pretending to be packets of data going around the internet and stuff. And then I brought the class back and I said, look, here's a question for you. Which countries censor the internet? And why do iPhones sold in Saudi Arabia not have FaceTime installed? And it's real eye-opener to a brand new boy in class that day. We had a clever boy, come from a good school nearby. And as our students went on and did some things, he sat there. It's a really pretentious thing I would say. He just sat there and I went up to him and I said, look, how are you getting on? And he said, I can't find anything. I said, what do you mean you can't find anything? And he said, well, I've typed it in, I can't find anything. He looked at his iPad and he was looking at Google results and he just said, why do iPhones in Saudi Arabia not have FaceTime? And he was looking at the results which told him the answer. But he just didn't have anything in here in his experience that led him to understand he could dig into information, synthesize new knowledge for him, and bring it back and explain to the teacher. He'd never been asked that before. He's still working in a mode where typing a question to people and getting an answer is a great lesson. That's not a great lesson in my school anymore, that's just what we do as part of learning. It's one tool of many learning. I want to run this little video for you. This is what a girl called Sophie did in the same lesson, but she's been in our school for 4 years.
Hello, my name is Sophie Jill, and today we're going to be talking about countries that have censored the internet why Saudi Arabia banned FaceTime. To start off, as you can see in our map here, there are many countries that tried to block the internet or watch it closely. But the countries that have censored the internet are these ones up in the right-hand corner. These are countries like Iran, China, Saudi Arabia and Vietnam. There is also some countries that carefully watch the internet, such as Russia, India and Turkey. But just south of Turkey is this little place called Saudi Arabia. They have recently banned FaceTime. Some people believe that they banned it because it had an encryption that they couldn't monitor. This happened before with BlackBerry devices, so it's not unlikely. Some people also believe it was banned because there is a law that says no voice over IP in Saudi Arabia. IP simply means the way that information is sent between devices. That is all we can do today. Thanks for watching. Bye.
So you sort of see what I mean by that? That's what I want our students to be able to do. Not just to type something into Google and cut and paste the first paragraph off Wikipedia, but to go and read and understand and then reproduce, as we said earlier, reproduce things like this. And I know for a fact that Sophie knows what I was talking about that day, because she's got more detail in that video than I ever taught. Right? She's got the difference between blocking, censoring and monitoring the internet. She's got at least 2 reasons why Saudi Arabian iPhones don't have FaceTime, because there is some debate about that question. And that's the kind of yardstick I use to see that our students are doing things that students in other schools are not doing. Because a paper test alone isn't sensitive enough. Sophie can't show that skill on a paper test, but she can show it in that kind of assessment that we can do ourselves. And that's how it works. So with that, thank you very much for your attention. And I'll be happy to get any questions about our department or our experience. I'm sure folks will answer any specific questions about plans for Oakhill as well. Thanks very much.
Education changes over time, without a doubt. I think it was 4 years ago, almost to the week, that this photograph was taken. And some of you will recognise our current Year 11s in the photo. Now, I wonder if any of you think about whether Callum is hard to draw in a mobile. This is why we have bigger over iPads. That's not it, that's his head. I'm going to do it low down, but anyway, the idea is, I'll point to it, that is a slate, and Harry's looking at his slate, and then as soon as they got in there, they picked up the chalk and started writing. And as you can see, the slates were often called tablets, and that was before pen and paper. A slate and chalk was before pen and paper. So this isn't the first innovation in education. But the reason I've shown this picture is because it was taken 4 years ago, roughly to this week. And 4 years ago was when the iPad was first introduced in the UK. Now I know that because I actually pre-ordered my iPad. I had it sent to my house. But then I had no idea that I'd actually be standing here talking to you about using the iPad in education. I was just very excited at having the big mobile phones. That's how I saw it. I was excited about being able to Google things wherever I wanted to. I was excited about being able to watch iPlayer on the train and things like that. But here I am, 4 years later, and we've had lots of different versions of iPads, but the iPad's been the most successful tablet device that's been produced, and it has changed. Just as the boys and girls in Europe back there have changed in 4 years, so your children will change in 4 years, so technology will change in 4 years. Time passes, and things definitely do change. Now, things change. But some things actually don't change. What makes a good teacher? I don't think any changes. And what makes, well, I don't think children ever change either. I think children are exactly the same now as they were 200 years ago. A child is born with an incredible desire to learn. And at 4, the children at 4 never stop asking questions, do they? It's why did you know, how far is it to kindergarten? And why does that happen that way? They have a natural curiosity that is always been there. And we need to tap into that curiosity. As children grow, that curiosity lessens. And good teachers arouse that curiosity again. I need to make you connect. I need to make my children connect with what I'm talking about. And it was Ian Forster that wrote this, Only Connect. It's the introduction to one of his novels, and it's not come on. It has now. And a good teacher is able to make a connection. A good teacher has plenty of tricks up their sleeve as well. Sometimes you don't think about it. A good teacher will have plenty of tricks up their sleeve. Perhaps one of the most important things is the element of performance. And did you see the fireworks then? Yeah. It's the element of performance. It's also about giving children the opportunity to experience something. I'm sure Miss Stagg delivers her science lessons in such a way that she manages to contain the pupils' enthusiasm to actually do the experiment. A teacher will stand at the front and say, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it, and we'll do the big bang. And the children are sitting there watching, and what they want to do is do it too. A good teacher allows a pupil to experience what they're talking about, experience the process. I can give you a recipe, but it's actually following the recipe and making a cake that is the key learning aspect. So it's important that you give them the experience. It's important that there's an element of performance. I need to make you listen to me. If I can't make you listen to me, you're not hearing what I'm saying. And that is good performance. And the last thing, I think, is they're in abundance when children are little. And it's the teacher's greatest challenge as children grow older, is to maintain that curiosity. We all have that curiosity, and we all still have that curiosity, but we've got to engage our learners to make sure that they continue to learn effectively. If you do that, and put all of those three together, what you get is a happy child. And a happy child is much more likely to be an interesting child. Okay? Now, as far as Oakhill goes, I didn't really think about Oakhill iPads for learning last academic year. It was this academic year that I began to think about it. And I'm going to tell you why. I actually sat on a bus with pupils, and it was a literary trip. It was year 8. We were going out. We went to Howard, and it was in October last year, early October. And I sat next to one of the pupils and said, what's your favourite? Because this pupil is not known for his levels of interest in the subject. Okay? He's not particularly interested in many things. And I sat there and just said to him, what's your favourite subject? And I really felt my seat, and he said, geography. And I said, why? And he said, Mr. Lex's iPad Mini. And I thought to myself, oh, has it made that much of a difference? And from September of this year, quite a lot of the teachers had brought in the iPad Mini and started to use them, but Mr. Lacey was perhaps the first person to use them in the classroom. And I began to think about the potential for using these devices, because the children responded to them in a very different way. Engaging the learners with tablet technology isn't difficult. I don't really have to do much persuasion of your children to get them to say, have a go on the iPad. They're more than willing to have a go on the iPad and learn with the iPad. That isn't the issue. The issue was engaging the teachers. How on earth would I get the teachers to go along with this, to experience this, to actually explore what was a new technique. Now, it was quite a challenge, and I knew that I'd got it when Mr. Peel began to be excited about it, because he was not excited by Apple, and neither was Mr. McGuinness. You know, they were Apple fans. They couldn't see the potential at the time. But once we'd been to the association and presented the findings about using the iPads in education, and once we were given the funds to give iPads to the staff, there was a radical difference. And within a month, you could notice the difference everywhere. There was improved communication, there was engagement of the staff, and people were sitting there showing each other what they were doing in the lessons. And there was a genuine buzz around staff rooms, and there still is. And everyone today has been, you know, staff have been today, and there really is an excitement about using the iPads as teachers, as a learning tool. And lastly, but not least, engaging the parents, because this has to have parental support. You have to understand that we are doing this for the sake of your children's education, not their entertainment, and not to cost you a lot of money, but we're doing it because we believe that this is a way of enhancing their experience and a way of improving the way they approach their learning. Okay, it's a fantastic tool for that. So I hope that this evening begins to explain to you why we're going on this route. And really, I hope this evening begins to explain as well what it is about the iPad that makes it different. The iPad isn't just about games and looking up the weather or catching up on your favourite blog. It is about, most of you would identify the iPad as something to do with research. Okay, you can find something out, you can find something out on your phone, we've all got used to instant access to knowledge. But it's not just that. The iPad is hugely useful in terms of review and also in what I call representation. It's about presenting things in a new way that shows that you've understood what you've taken in and you've thought about it and you represent it in a way that shows that you understand it. And what most people, that's what people do when we ask them to write essays. We give them an amount of information, we talk about it, we discuss it, and then expect them to write an essay. Using the iPad, you can get them to present it, represent it in different ways that shows that understanding, that helps that understanding, that assists that understanding. So, the first main use that we all identify is research, and this isn't just Wikipedia. You've got dictionaries, you've got some fantastic educational resources. The Khan Academy is a wonderful resource, particularly for maths and art history. And you can have whole courses, you can go through it. If you're feeling stuck on your maths, especially for GCSE, just go and Google it in the Khan Academy, and it shows you how to do it, and you can go back, it's at your own pace. And that's what's wonderful about it. There's also TED. I'm addicted to TED. And TED is talks that are given, and you can say the amount of time you want to be inspired for, and mine's usually 5 minutes, that's what I can manage. But you can go from 5 minutes to an hour, and you can listen to inspirational speakers, and they do inspire you. I was inspired last week by watching a very short piece about, I can't remember his name, what's the chap in the wheelchair called? Stephen Hawking. Experiencing zero gravity. He desperately wanted to go up into space, but he's too old to go into space. And this talk was for the person who allowed him to experience zero gravity from NASA. And they took him up, and we had to have doctors there, and it was just, but to see, when we got to the end of the 4 minutes, and you saw Stephen Hawking weightless in this aeroplane, he just looked so happy. He wasn't in a wheelchair, he was actually standing up because he was weightless. And the smile on his face was absolute inspiration, and it will be, and certainly for me in the future. But those things there, those moments of inspiration are all there, and they're part of research. The other thing, YouTube. If any of you've got an interest, or if you want to fix your car, go to YouTube and Google exactly what you want, and it will show you there is someone who's put that on YouTube. I use it for my knitting. If there's a stitch you can't do, I go to YouTube and I look it up and I can find out everything. It's all there on YouTube. Okay. The second thing is review. Children really enjoy recording the process of what they're doing. I mean, enjoy the visual proof of the final product. But another aspect that we've not really grasped entirely is the fact that you can, as a teacher, review the children's progress there and then in the lesson. This is Class Dojo, and you can use this in the lesson to show people when they're doing. You can give people merits. You can show people when they're off task, and it's just part of the program. But when we use it in lessons, and we do use it in lessons sometimes, it's very effective to show the children how effectively they're working. We're not very good at watching ourselves. We're not very good at watching when we don't concentrate. And it's a really useful tool to show us how and to review how we work in the classroom. And the other aspect, of course, is representation or representation. This is a lesson I did last week. Children love to see what they've done being shown on the screen. Everybody looks at themselves in a window, don't you? You know, most people, you can't walk past a window or a mirror without looking at yourself. People like to see themselves. And children especially love to see what they have done on the screen. A teacher can go around, take a picture of a piece of work and show it to the whole class. So it's there, and it's something that's shared by the whole class. This kind of representation is really important. Self-evaluation. As teachers, the thing that we're trying to get children to do is to evaluate their work. If they evaluate their work rather than us evaluating their work, they will learn from it. It's no good for me. I know all about the spelling and punctuation. It doesn't do me any good to go through a piece of work and mark all of the errors. I can do it, and I can give it back to show how many errors there are. But if a child can go through it and see their own errors, then it makes a big difference. So the other thing that's really important is peer evaluation. Children feel far more able to judge and evaluate their peers' work, and they also enjoy that evaluation from their peers. And last but not least is teacher assessment. The iPad is an incredibly useful tool for teacher assessment. You can send your homework instantly to the teacher. Any work you've done in class, you can just airdrop, and the teacher will have that there and then. So, the best thing for me, though, about the one-to-one iPad scheme is that it enables individual learning. It's incredibly accessible. People are saying, why aren't you investing in laptops? The reason is you can't carry a laptop around like you can carry an iPad around. I can have an iPad, an iPhone, my paper and pen on this small lectern, and I can use all three. The reason the iPad Air, we're recommending the iPad Air, is because of the size. You could use the Mini. We're not suggesting for a minute that the Mini wouldn't work. It will work. Anything that runs iOS 7 will work. But what we do think is important is that you can see what you're doing and that you're used to and it's workable for you. As you can see, trying to do things on the phone isn't easy. Okay? Not all the time. So it's got to be, it is accessible, it's also engaging, children love it, and they're very intuitive. I could take this iPad into nursery, and I bet half of them would pick it up and be able to find something and do something with it. We as parents do not harness technology as children do. We download, they upload. They are new creators. This is the creativity that they automatically, intuitively understand. It's also an incredibly powerful tool. This app is called Prezi, and Prezi is a presentation thing, and it's all to do with mind mapping, especially in senior school. Mind mapping is a crucial skill to help you write an essay, an effective essay. With Prezi, it gets all of this information and it will shoot up at individual things, in the same way that Keynote does. But it's interactive, it moves around, and its interaction makes it something that children want to use. There are also apps like Popplet. It's also incredibly creative. I don't know how many of you have seen this video, but that is actually whole process of it being drawn on an iPad, and it's actually being filmed in real time, and you can see how it is actually put on an iPad. The iPad is hugely creative. Go and look at David Hockney's iPad pictures in Solitaire. It's an incredibly creative tool. There's so much there, and I'm not even touching music. You could do so much in terms of music and GarageBand. So it's powerful, it's creative, but perhaps most importantly for your children, it's personal. It's their record. It's something that helps them. It will help them be organised. No more lost pieces of paper. It's there. It's all there on their iPad, and they can look at all the notes and you'll be able to access everything. It's all there. And it's something that they will treasure, just like you would be mortified if you left your phone at home. Because most of us would be, some of you wouldn't be, but you know, a lot of us, phone's important as a means of contacting people, but not just as that, as a means of recording what you've done, photos on it, lots of personal things. So the iPad will be to the children. And I am not for 1 minute suggesting that we should get rid of pen and paper. I was doing this presentation, I wrote this with pen and paper because for me, the way I think, I've got to use a pen, and I'm much better with a fountain pen as well. It's what ticks my box. That's how I've always thought. And if I'm writing, I write better with pen and paper if I'm being creative. And I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that we do abandon pen and paper. What I am saying though is that we're simply learning to write with a different type of recording instrument. And this doesn't just write, it speaks, it shows you, okay? And it's a multifaceted tool. It's an incredibly powerful tool. Similarly, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that we become antisocial beings and that we sit there with our earphones in and don't talk to each other. The last thing, the children here will all guarantee that if I see them plugged in when they're not supposed to be plugged in, I will unplug them personally. Because that's not, you know, that's not what I want. You're here at school to socialise. You are not here to sit there with headphones in your ear. Okay? And as far as I'm concerned, that is, it's just, I can't imagine why anyone would want to sit with headphones in their ears whilst you're at school. I don't understand it. So we're not talking about being antisocial, and in fact, one of the things that the iPad has done is actually made people more collaborative. They communicate more. The staff are communicating more using the iPad, and the children will also communicate more. It's something that you can share. You can't do that with a laptop or a PC. You can pass around your iPad. And the last thing I'm going to say, because I know some of you might worry about it, is are we going to be stuck on their iPads the whole time? Well, no. This is Oakhill, and they go outside, and I think it's the only school that still has a competition, and we do that kind of thing. You know, that's what we love to do. And this is the senior competition. It's happened for over 20 years, and we still do it every year. And we're not going to stop. But what we might do is take a photo of it with our iPads and write about it. And it might be something that we can communicate through our iPads. Now, the iPad has absolutely enormous potential. In attendees, I can talk about something and I can't show a picture of it. But here, and if you go to the Sistine Chapel in Rome, it's just the most amazing experience in the world. But you look up and you're looking for this, but you can't see it. You're not close enough. There are too many people making too much noise. But on an iPad, you can zoom in and you can see the absolute beauty of that. The iPad is enormously powerful and it's got great potential. What I'm saying is if we give our children one of these iPads, they will have that power at their fingertips as well. You know, that is important. You're giving them that power, the power to see things and explore things in a way that you could not using old-fashioned systems. And for me, the iPad has always been about bringing learning to life. I am an avid learner. I love being at school. I love learning. And most of the children, because that's what I want to see, I want to see that love of learning. It's very much about bringing learning to life. I think that the iPad is interactive. I think the fact that it's kinesthetic, you've got to do something whilst you're doing it, makes it better. I also think it's an incredibly individual thing, and it's something that is precious. It's a memo of all the work you've done and the processes that you've gone through. It also means, very importantly, that you can work at your own pace. You don't have to wait for someone to finish that page. You can go on and on and on. And last but not least, it's an inspiration. It is an inspiration to see a perfect work of art like Michelangelo's creation of Adam. It's an inspiration to see that. But more than that, the iPad and the power that it gives your children is for them to be an inspiration to others. They can show you the incredible things that they do.